So
sometimes there's an old saying in the NFL: you want to play in the NFL for any length of time, you cannot be afraid of the needle. Occasionally, you got to take the needle if you want to play.
So let's go to story time.
Okay.
I look at what Aaron Rodgers is doing, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy's an American hero. How long were you out? How many times do you have a big surgery?
Oh, I had a bunch of big surgeries. Yeah, I mean, I've had a surgery on a Sunday night and played Monday Night Football.
What?
The next day.
What?
Checked myself out of the hospital and went and did it. I had a back surgery, a very major back surgery. Was out 27 days and back in the lineup. So the NFL is not. It's not like corporate America. It's not like anywhere else in America. Like what doctors will clear you to do, they wouldn't clear anybody else in the world to do. It'd be like, you're crazy, dude. Football players want to play. That's what they want to do.
You know what, Mark? It's a little bit like the American military.
Right.
You want to be with your comrades, your people. You want to be with them. And so were you ever cleared to play and you were a guy that you were a grinder, but you were cleared to play and you had apprehensions?
Oh, sure. I mean, absolutely. You lie about it. There are plenty of times where you just got knocked out. No, I'm fine. I'm good. No clue where I am, but I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I
So when
play.
you watch,
absolutely.
When you watch Aaron, what do you see?
Oh, Aaron is very much. There's a few quarterbacks that can do this. Aaron is the equivalent of Compound W. You ever had a wart?
Yeah.
Yeah, buy some Compound W, put it on there, right? Cover it up.
Sizzles.
And eventually, gone, right?
Right.
He covers warts. That's what he does. I mean, he is so damn good. He covers a bunch of warts. He transcends football, and he makes your football team great. This, to me, it's not about getting Aaron Rodgers back to play again this year because, let's face it, you're not a very good football team. This is a signal to Mike McCarthy. This is a signal to the organization. Without Aaron, we're pretty marginal, right? So this to me is to say, hey, listen, when people sit there and go, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's great, but, the caveat, he's only got one Super Bowl. This is more about, hey, Ted Thompson, your organization, your players aren't good enough. Like, you haven't supported him properly. And I said the same thing about Peyton Manning jokingly. He's ruined 2 franchises. The reason he's ruined them is because he carries 8-8 talent to 12-4 seasons, right? Isn't that the truth?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you think, yeah, we're pretty good. We're pretty solid. And then all of a sudden he gets hurt and Curtis Painter comes in and you're 2-14. You're like, wow, we stink.
Right.
I mean, that's Peyton Manning goes to Denver and they put up all kinds of numbers. Then all of a sudden his body breaks down and you start to realize what's going on. We're not very good.
Yeah.
Like that guy covered the warts.
Right.
That's what's happening.
So I said this earlier. Do we have this graph? We call this a deep dive. So a lot of radio hosts, they skim the paper. Mark, we don't do that.
No.
We deep dive. I put on the scuba gear.
You know what? You are an inch wide and a mile deep, my friend.
No, I'm not.
No.
So we went and looked this morning. So Tom Brady got the you-know-what kicked out of him against Miami.
Absolutely.
And I went and said, he's aging, folks. We went to the last 5 years. After his 12th game each season, look at his numbers. It ain't Tom Brady. He comes down to earth. 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. Now, some of that is a small percentage is he's in the Super Bowl. You're playing a good team. But when Belichick scoffs at people saying, did you ever think of taking Tom Brady out? I love Belichick. But when you were a veteran, Mark, would a week off absolutely help you?
Yeah. There is, you can't discount how important it is to prepare and to practice. And you would be doing a discredit to this league if you said, hey, I don't need it. We all need it, right? We all need to keep our skills sharp.
Now, that's practice.
Right. You come in and you prepare every day. Like I've been around you. I've known you for what, a decade?
Yeah.
Decade plus? I know how hard you prepare. You just wouldn't come in here and fly by the seat of your pants because you wouldn't be as good. So practice is important. The point being is I'll go back to my own career, late in my career, and Mike Shanahan honestly saved my career. He allowed me to play an extra 3 or 4 years.
How?
Because Mike Shanahan and that coaching staff managed me. managed my practice time, they knew there were certain things that they wanted me to see. One of my dearest friends, one of the greatest teammates I ever played with is a guy by the name of Dave Diaz-Infante. He coaches with the Jets right now.
Yeah.
We affectionately called Dave Diaz-Infante the stunt guard because the stunt guard would practice for me all week and I'd play on Sundays.
Right.
And you know what? He was my dear friend, is my dear friend. We would study together. We would prepare together. He would help prepare me, and I would go out there and play. And that's a tough position to be in, and you have to be an unselfish, just an unbelievably unselfish person to be able to dedicate yourself to a team like that so that somebody else can have success. But what they would do if we had a 10-play period, they'd say, hey, Stink, man, we need you to take reps 4 and 5 here because it's a unique blitz that this team runs that we want you to practice. But reps 1, 2, 3 and reps 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sit out. Just watch because we're managing your body. We want you to be able to play on Sunday. And I believe in the management of players' bodies as they get older during the course of a season. So the important stuff, the important reps, the important blitz pickup, the important throw you need to make, we want you in for this one. But the rest of the stuff, take some mental reps and let your body rejuvenate. And there's a part to that, and it's a fine balance. Your coaching staff has to be smart.
Finally, here's Phillip Rivers was mad. We brought Tony Gonzalez was mad. Strahan was mad. Plaxico was on the show yesterday. He was mad. Chris Carter was mad. Here's Phillip Rivers on the Eli benching.
I honestly thought it was pathetic, really. The guy, he's been out there 210 straight games with no telling how many bumps and bruises and injuries for his team. Won 2 Super Bowls, MVPs. The respect he's had in the locker room over the years, really the respect he's gained throughout the league. You feel like the guys earned the opportunity if they are deciding, in fact, to go another direction. You feel like he's earned the opportunity to finish it off.
But he's not John Elway. He's not Vin Scully. He's not Johnny Carson. He's Carson Daly. He's good, but if he went to the other show, you wouldn't give him a legacy tour, would you? I mean, is it that big of a deal? Giants can get the number 2 pick, Mark.
Right.
If they tank, they can get the number 2 pick, Sam Darnold. Or if they win 2 games with Eli, they can get a linebacker from Auburn. Is that going to beat Carson Wentz?
I guess it depends on your there's a couple things that resonate with me here. One of the things that I think that all these players stand up for is they look at that roster, the mismanagement of that roster, and they say, Eli is the least of your problems. You've drafted offensive linemen that haven't panned out, that haven't been very good.
True.
You haven't supported him. You've got not only one diva wide receiver that you drafted in Odell Beckham Jr., but then you brought in another one in Brandon Marshall. How is that going to go? How is that going to fly? Your head coach has never stood up to OBJ, but he doesn't hesitate to throw Eli Manning under the bus. I mean, OBJ could come take a dump on your head coach's office, right? I mean, he could come take a dump right on the desk, and he wouldn't say a thing. He'd say, that Eli Manning, he's really irritating.
You were largely speaking for players, that Eli's taking.
Absolutely. Eli's taking the brunt. Like, you, as a staff, coaching staff, and Jerry Reese, the general manager, I think you're like, hey, look at the scapegoat. Look, there he is right there. To cover up your lack of putting a roster together around that guy. Yeah, his numbers aren't great, but numbers lie. I'm going to call Denver versus Miami this weekend. And if you look at the last 4 weeks of the Miami Dolphins, you look at their rushing numbers, averaging almost 5 yards a carry.
They're better than Denver.
They're running the ball almost 5 yards a carry. You know what? 3 runs have netted more total yardage than the other 69. They're actually averaging 2.1 yards per carry. They're garbage. But they had 3 breakout runs on short yardage, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, you look at the stats, at the surface of the stats, it would tell you in the last 4 games they've run the ball pretty well. No, they haven't. They had 3 breakout runs. And so you always have to be careful about looking at guys' interception totals because they tell a story, but they don't necessarily tell the story. And if you're going to tell me that, hey, Eli Manning, he's not very good and we want to see what we have, okay. But then you're going to tell me in the same sentence, we're going to go to Geno Smith. I've seen that story. I saw it play in the Shea Stadium right down the street with the Jets. Like, don't give me, hey, we're gonna see what our young guys can do, and then come out in the same sentence and say, and it's Geno Smith. Stop that, because that's baloney.
His name is Mark Schlereth. He's got a bunch of rings and 29 surgeries.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.